Hey, Henry.
Hey, Lillian.
Oh my gosh, I've been looking all over the building for you.
Oh my
I've been
gosh,
wanting
yeah.
to ask you a question. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, what would you say your self-love score is?
Ooh, yikes. I don't think I've ever thought about that before. More like, I guess I would try to avoid thinking about it because it makes me feel so exposed. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I guess I might say I'm a four.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better, Henri. I'm sorry. But mine's definitely lower than yours. So I'm not going to tell you my score. But yeah, when I was asked that question, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so uncomfortable. And I just thought I need to play like self-love songs like all day long. So that's why I was looking for you.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You know what song I like that always cheers me up? It's one by Haley Steinfeld. It goes, "Gonna love myself. No, I don't need anybody else. Gonna love myself." Do you know it?
No, not I can't really tell what song you're singing, but you should
Oh my
send
gosh.
send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. It always makes me feel better. And, it's like, it just reminds me that no matter what anyone says or what, the world is, what's happening, like, we always have to put our self love first.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. But sometimes, hearing that, Henri, I sometimes ask myself, like, what really is self-love anyway? Because, for example, the other day I was feeling super crappy. So I went and I got my nails done and I got my lashes done. And I walked out of that salon and I was like, damn, I feel so great. And then my friend like totally ignored me. And then I just felt like
Mm,
super insecure and like worthless. So I just realized, wow, like I was treating myself like on the outside, but like sometimes, inside, I just like don't really like myself?
yeah, I definitely feel that. It's like one moment you're so good, and then the next moment you feel so down, and it's all over the place for me too. But in those moments, it actually helps me to remember that it always takes work to feel worth. So, we always have to like keep working at our self love. And there's actually a quote from Daisaku Ikeda in this book he wrote called Choose Life. And he says, because it is irreplaceable, human life has dignity. But to make that life dignified in the truest and most actual sense requires ceaseless effort. Each human
Hmm.
being must bear the responsibility for their own dignity. So that reminded me like, it's not like one day you feel 100% and forever you're going to stay 100%. And plus, we need those kind of down moments to be able to really feel like we can feel something and empathy and have, just understanding of other people, what they're going through.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so true. It reminds me of this Instagram post I read the other day. So this Instagrammer, she was saying like we have to be people who care. And she basically said like we don't need like the world doesn't need any more carelessness. And that a
Mm.
person who like can stay soft in a world that hasn't been kind to them, like those are the people we really need. And I just thought, wow, like I really want to be like that. But it's so hard because I feel like I often struggle between like practicing self-love based on like my fear of being hurt by others or like I need to prioritize myself because nobody else like cares about me versus like this self-love based on like embracing everyone around me and like not being afraid to love and to care and to like be true to myself. So yeah, but I feel like this quote, it like helps me to think about, okay, how can I practice that kind of self-love?
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that quote too. And Lillian, I'm an introvert. So, I've always preferred to stay home and it feels like less stressful that way. I don't have to put myself in positions where I'm afraid of being heard and, all that. But I realized that this past year, just staying home all the time doesn't work for me either. So once I realized that, I got so stuck in my own negative thoughts. And then I started reaching
Mm.
out to my friends and as I was talking to them and through our conversations, we were able to remind each other that we're not alone and that right now it's like such a difficult time, but we're still pretty awesome people at the core.
Yeah, that's so true, Henri. Okay, I think I need to reach out to my friends more. I feel like I just isolate, but yeah, actually, I was thinking, Henri, we haven't come up with a theme for our next dialogue nights. We should
Yeah.
totally do it on self-love.
Oh my gosh, imagine. Yeah, I think that's so needed right now. I really feel like, people want to talk about this and we can invite you to talk about what self-love means to them, how they can practice it and what it means for the world right now. So yeah, I bet a lot of people will join us.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. I wonder what everybody's self-love score is going to be.
Mm,
Probably not as low as ours, but it's okay. We can learn from them.
for
Yeah,
sure.
Henri, I was thinking maybe we can ask some youth in our community to like share what self-love means to them so we can get some different perspectives for dialogue nights. What do you think?
Wow, that sounds like a great idea. I guess I'll see you at dialogue nights then.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank
See
you
you
so much,
there.
Henri. Okay, bye.
What did I do for my self-love today? That's a really good question.
Did something difficult. I reached out to a person that I'd been meaning to essentially reconnect with, right? Someone I went to college with that I vaguely knew.
I took time to really plan out my next steps in my journey. I think one of the things that really helps me with my self-love is to really be organized in the things that I do and really feel like I have a safety net and feel like I have a plan for what I'm doing, because then I feel more secure in what I'm capable of doing.
I bit the bullet and wrote a message I was proud of, and I cautioned myself from overthinking.
All right, so the second question is, what is something you had to learn for your own self-love?
I think I had to learn not to judge myself and not to beat myself up, as that it's okay and I can be who I am and I don't have to brood over the past and look towards the future, change what I can from today.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon. So amazing that we're all over the world. Thank you so much for being here and allowing me to share my brief experience on experimenting with self-love. Just like Lillian said, my name is Anna, and I live in the greater Boston area, and I work as a high school family liaison. So when I learned about starting this experiment, I was excited. Sorry, could we go to the next slide, actually? Yes, thank you so much, Pri. So when I learned about starting this experiment, I was excited as I'd heard and read about self-love, but I had many questions about how actually to engage with it. And one question that I had that was in my head was, how do I accomplish the goals and expectations that I've set for myself with practicing self-love while still practicing self-love? Sorry, I'm kind of nervous. So I was wondering how I can really keep meeting the goals that I have while still practicing self-love. But what turned out to happen and what I learned during this project was that practicing self-love has a lot to do with embracing myself and embracing my life. And what this looked like started to change as I engaged in this experiment. So I'm going to try and share about this change that happened for me now. So on the first day of the self-love challenge, I ranked my self-love scale at like a 5/4. And at the time, I noted that I was feeling a lot of pressure during the day, specifically around responding to messages and emails. And I also had a headache. But instead of staying up late, like I normally would when even though I felt this way, I let myself sleep, reassuring myself that my to-do list would be completed and I would feel better in the morning. So I also wrote down the goal of drinking water, eating well, resting, and then repeating this process. And this felt like I was really embracing my life where I was at, and this felt really great. However, I still felt like I wanted to be able to accomplish more during the day and the following day while still remaining in good spirits. And also on the same day, I hadn't noticed much of a change in the way that I was interacting with other people as I was setting the intention to practice self-love, which was one of the questions that we were meant to reflect on, was does our interaction change with others? So the next 2 days were a bit of a whirlwind. I felt myself my self-love was fluctuating up and down throughout the day, which I think is something that both Archish and I experience. He'll share too. But one moment I was on a Zoom call with my friends and we were practicing and preparing for activities in our spiritual group, and we were laughing and feeling so good. And then the next day, or the next moment, I was in this really low headspace and I was engaging in like these behaviors that I really wanted to cut out of my life. And at the same time, though, I continued to challenge and I was trying to embrace my life where I was at. So I felt like I did take a little bit of a step. But it wasn't around until the fourth day of this experiment that I remembered one of the resources that the Ikeda Center had provided for us to study during this process and to utilize. So I was reminded of this quote from Daisaku Ikeda's 2021 Peace Proposal, in which he says, "If you regard your own life to be precious and irreplaceable, then you should grasp the fact that each person must also feel this way. Making this realization the basis for how you conduct your life, you should resolve to never act in ways that will cause harm to others." The Buddhist perspective on human rights urges us not to extinguish or suppress our feelings of cherishing ourselves above all else. On the contrary, by extending and opening the love we feel for ourselves to love for others, we can rebraid the tapestry of our lives, restoring the ways in which we connect with others and society at large. So reading this and thinking about this quote was so eye-opening for me, and it really got me embracing my life on an even deeper level. And particularly how Ikeda says so clearly that we don't have to extinguish or suppress our feelings of wanting to love ourselves, which I thought was so encouraging. And the next step, Ikeda says, is to extend this love to others. So I thought that was so amazing and kind of non-traditional. Usually it's like we have to, repress how we feel to support others. So with this new perspective, I was able to do things that I didn't even know I wanted to do. I was able to post a picture on Instagram that, is it's like a small feat, but for me, I'm always so insecure about what I post on social media. So I was really able to post this picture like with joy. And then I was also able to respond more quickly to messages from two of my friends, even though I kind of felt like crap, to be honest. But the truth is, I felt so happy after doing these seemingly small but significant tasks and sharing something from my heart on social media and talking more openly with my friends, just as I am, was such a big deal for me. And I felt so proud of myself for doing this. And it really made me feel like self-love, that is self-love. So I really am so excited to keep continuing this journey and to go deeper with Ikeda's perspective. So I hope that we can all try and do the self-love journey together. And thank you so much for letting me share. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna, for that amazing presentation. And yeah, I think my learnings were very similar to what yours was, but I'll just share my own self-love roller coaster journey, which was quite like it was a whirlwind as well. So I'd like to start with a quote from Dr. Ikeda, should be here. "I'm convinced that the only way to regenerate love in our world is for people to come to understand the meaning of their own lives, of the life of the universe, and of the relationship between the two kinds of life. This is true because it is possible to show understanding of the lives of other beings only when one has an understanding of one's own life." When I read this quote, I just was so confused, like it seemed so complex on day one when I started this activity. But then again, for each day when I was doing this activity, I read this in the morning. I tried to deeply understand what Daisaku Ikeda is trying to say here. So as the roller coaster began, my self-love score at the beginning of the exercise was 4, and it fluctuated quite a bit during the last week. But then there was also peaks when the score went up to 8, and those were like unbelievable moments. Next slide, please. So in the process, after experiencing whatever I did in the last week, I distilled it down to 3 main barriers which I have to self-love, right? To really embrace myself. And number 1 was actually my comparison to others. this was a huge hindrance. Whenever I was comparing myself to the achievements and success of other people, friends, or family members, I felt like I had low self-esteem. And this was quite shocking because I never thought that I had this tendency of comparing myself to others. But I realized that that is very deeply embedded in my life. And it was just like, yeah, it was so difficult to accept it. The second one is beating myself up for my mistakes I've made in the past. It made me feel inferior and question myself all the time. And it really hindered me to be present in the moment and doubting myself in every action that I was taking. Also, the third one was worrying about the future. Basically, focusing too much on the past or the future was the most difficult part for me in the last week to love myself fully and was my main challenge. Next slide. So the biggest learning I had of the week was I was doing too much of what I should be doing, what the society expects me to do, what my parents want me to do, or how my friends say I should live my life. But there was not a lot of moments when I was doing what I really want to do, right? What my heart says. And I mean, that doesn't mean that I would just watch Netflix all day and eat whatever I want, but it requires some sort of discipline in life. But at the same time, you know, when you talk about the larger questions in life, like when we're at an inflection point, when we have to think about, okay, so what am I going to study? Or what is my professional trajectory? I think I was trying to fit too much in a frame of what is expected out of me rather than just being free and following my heart. And I think that is the biggest challenge anyone has to self-love, because we're always trying to meet expectations of other people or even expectations of ourselves that we have set on our mind, right? Of this is how my life should be. So I think to really listen to one's heart is self-love, and there's no other way to loving oneself, right? To really listen to that inner voice. So those are my like a bit of experiences, but I think the process helped me a lot because my understanding of self-love changed, right, in the last 1 week. So when I started off, I was thinking, okay, maybe self-love is taking time off, relaxing, no screen time, which is all very important. But I also realized something very astonishing. The moments when I was feeling fully myself, like fully Archish, when I was engaged in doing something that I like, engaged in understanding the problems and worries of my young cousins or friends who I've been with since I was a child, and just giving them a ear and trying to understand what they're going through. It made me feel so good because I felt like just, you know, like I don't think there's anything in self-love than supporting your friends and family, because it makes you feel so happy. And it makes you feel like, okay, you can be there for them whenever they need you. And I think, so this is a huge like revelation that happened to me, because I was thinking, okay, let's take time to think and write and philosophize and intellectualize everything. But those were the moments when I was not very happy. I was just like overthinking and going in this zone of, I don't know, what am I doing? I'm the worst person in the world. But as soon as I broke out of that shell of myself, of just being embroiled in my own worries and anxiety, I could really feel connected to myself and love myself in turn, right? So I think that is like one of the key learnings that I had. And another important point I learned is how important it is to start my morning, my day in a proper way. So when I wake up in the morning and I go to this thing, it's the worst. It is like, I can't tell you, like the days when I went to straight up to Instagram or checking my emails, there'd be something which would put me down and make me feel like, oh my God, my life is so bad. I'm like, what am I doing? Like I see my friends going out, or I see someone like achieving something so great. And I thought like, oh damn, I'm late. Like, and then I would have this urge, okay, I need to rush. I need to become successful. I need to do this. And I think that's something that I realized is how important the morning is. So I think it's so important to practice mindfulness in the morning, right? It could be journaling, yoga, whatever one chooses to do, or have a spiritual practice like I do, right? And I try to chant in the morning. So I think whatever anyone chooses to do, but starting that morning in the beginning is everything. It determines how much you're actually going to love yourself during the day. And I think Sudhi was also, it was in my group, someone was Julia was sharing that she's been journaling for 99 days today, and it has really helped her, right? So I think that sort of journaling and putting your thoughts down, those kind of things really help you to know yourself, and then in turn love yourself, right? So I'm going to stop just quickly. A few things that I'm going to do after this activity, which has been so incredible, and thank you to the Ikeda Center for giving me this opportunity. I think one thing is I'm going to make an effort to be active. So the days when I'm active, when I'm doing something, I'm happy and I'm loving myself. But when I get lazy, it's just like it's out of the window. So that is one thing, to just try to make a conscious effort to be active and not isolate myself. And the second thing is I will try to cut out the noise around me. So the noise of people, of friends and family, and really listen to my gut and my instinct, because I know exactly what my gut wants, but it's just like I get swayed listening to other people. So really to have that instinct and make decisions confidently in life, because that gives me the possibility to love myself fully too. So thank you so much.
So I'll go ahead and read the first question while everyone's logging in. After today's discussion, has your self-love score changed? And, acknowledging that self-love scores can change from moment to moment, day to day. I'm loving what we're seeing already. We've gone from a 4 to an 8.5. Can we give some spirit fingers to that comment? 3 to 4, but today I'm at a 6. Love that. Any increase is always something to celebrate. We got 4 to 7, 3 to 7, 5 to 8, went from less than 3. Oh, less than, or is that a heart? Is that a heart mark or a less than 3? But either way, I'm so happy to hear that your self-love score has changed. Went from a 7 to an 8. Yes, even one point up, 2 points up. They're all tremendously important. From a 5 to about an 8 with 2 heart emojis. Absolutely love this. This is so great. What I love about these visual polls is you can really see, hearing is good too, but seeing these numbers, I think, is encouraging me to really validate myself, no matter how low my score, to then increase it. So love this. All righty. So, one more. Went up 2 points. Okay, great. Yes, not sure, but I feel more primed to think about my self-love score and how I can improve it. And that's, if anything, we want everyone to take away the feeling that they can improve any score, even if it's a 0. I have to admit, I have some days where it starts off on the 0. So thank you so much for sharing, everyone. And so we're going to go to the next question. And that is, looking ahead, what actions will you take to continue practicing self-love? It's this commitment to practicing what we learned with anything, right? That can be a challenge, but we would love to hear what everyone's thoughts are on this. What actions will you take to continue practicing self-love? Spending more time in nature. Yes, Mother Nature always has a way to help us realign ourselves to this beautiful citadel that we are. Love it. Believe in myself. Take actions even when I don't feel 100% ready. Be kind to myself. I love that. I have a friend who always tells me that I should be as nice to myself as I am to my friends. And it's such a great reminder of self-love. Be patient and kind with myself, celebrate the good things more, follow my heart always, celebrating small victories, positive self-talk, breathing, less screen time, read more, continuing to journal and go to therapy, wonderful, trusting myself more, checking my inner critic, doing the little things that make me happy instead of only focusing on big goals. Yes, sending a reminder each day to practice it, appreciating our challenges. As we can see, there's so many things we can take away with us and really put this into practice, because sometimes we're faced with so many things that make it harder for us to practice, but we have many tips here. Thank you so much, everyone. One more, making time to go to bed earlier to read. because sleep definitely impacts how much our life condition starts off in the morning. So, all righty. Well, we hope you enjoyed this semi visual activity.